But we're going to look at food chains and food webs. All right. Food chain is very simple. It's one single occurrence of who eats who. Okay. So follows the connection between one producer and a single chain of events that happens. And through those events, we call them trophic levels. All right. Every level, a different organism eats a different organism. Okay. So producers, that's our base. That's where we start. Everything starts with a producer. Always the first organism in the food chain. Do the things you eat, you think about what you eat, did it start with a producer? Name me something that doesn't start with a producer that you eat.
Sunlight.
Last time I checked, you can't eat the sun. You eat rocks? I'm sorry. Starts with a producer. Whatever eats producers are called primary consumers. All right. These are our herbivores. Something that eats a herbivore is a secondary consumer. These are carnivores. All right. A tertiary means third level, consumer. They eat secondary consumers. So they are carnivores. They're the bigger carnivores. They eat other larger carnivores. All right.
Can they also be
Omnivores is next. Omnivores like us, we fit in every trophic level except which one? Producer. Because we eat plants, that makes us primary. We eat cows, cows eat plants, that makes us secondary. Okay? We eat organisms that eat other organisms. Anybody know of one example?
whales?
Anybody like any kind of poultry? Any kind of bird? If you eat quail, chicken, dove, turkey, do they eat other organisms?
Yes.
Yeah, they eat bugs. Bugs eat plants. So that makes us tertiary. Okay? It goes further than that. There's quaternary. All right? But we don't talk about those. So here's a simple food chain. We have our energy that started from the sun. There's our producer, grass. Grasshopper eats the grass. This shrew eats the grasshopper. Owl eats the shrew. All right? So you got a producer, primary consumer, secondary, tertiary. Okay. Makes sense? Primary means first, secondary second, tertiary third. If we take a whole bunch of these and put them together, we get a food web. All right. A little more complex than what we just did because it's a whole bunch of different food chains all thrown into one. Okay? With the arrows, something you have to know about arrows. The arrow points in the direction that energy is flowing. So how I remember this is the arrow, if you have an arrow, it usually means to go in. It's pointing you in a direction. You're going in that direction. Where is this grass going into this rabbit, or is this rabbit going into that grass? And so that's why the arrow points that direction. The grass is going into the rabbit. All right? That rabbit is going into that fox. Okay? What level is the rabbit? He is the primary because he eats producers. He eats carrots, he eats grass. He eats producers, he's primary. What level's the fox? He is secondary because he eats a primary here. This bird here is a primary. This bird is also a what? Producer, primary, secondary, which would make the fox. Tertiary. Fox can be secondary or tertiary. Right? Just like humans, we can be primary, secondary, or tertiary, depending on what we're eating. Okay? Same with this owl. Producer, primary, secondary. Producer, primary, secondary. Well, that one fits. It's a secondary. Okay? Do what? Do what? Possibly, but definitely. All right. That flow of energy, that is a big deal. It's a big deal on STAR. They love to talk about energy and the flow of energy. If we look at this pyramid, where do we start at the bottom? We start with what level? Which are producers. Okay. As you go up, producer, primary, secondary, tertiary, and we got this quaternary, that means 4. That's level 4 right here. The pyramid serves for two purposes. Compares energy, and it can also compare the amount of organisms. Okay. Between each level, 90% of energy is lost. Right. It's lost through digestion, it's lost through heat, different things. So this grass down here, and I've got an example on here, if this grass contained 10,000 kilocalories of energy, and that grasshopper eats that grass, he only gets 10% of it. He gets 1,000. Okay? So he gets a lot of energy from that grass. He gets 1,000. But when that frog eats that grasshopper, how much energy does he get? He gets 10% of that. That snake eats that frog. He gets 10% of that. That hawk eats that snake. He gets 10%. So that grass started with that grass having all this energy, but how much did that fourth level consumer get out of it? You got less than that. You got a lot less. Okay? Why does that hawk have to eat so much? Because he doesn't get a lot of energy from what he eats. Okay? Because it's lost as it goes up. All right? Only 10% of the energy from each tier is passed to the next level. Now, you also, with the pyramid, you think about numbers. Why would the grass section be bigger than the hawk section? You have a certain area of land. How many hawks are going to live in that certain area? Not many. Why? Competition. But how much grass is in that area? Because every single grass plant, that one little, could be one blade of grass, is a single plant. How many organisms of grass do we have in that one area? Yeah, it could be millions. So the size, we have a lot more here. We have one hawk living in that certain area. So that pyramid can also help you for that. We call this the 10% rule because 10% is all you get. All right, so if the cow eats the grass and you eat the cow, you're getting 10% of what the cow got. The cow is only getting 10% of what he ate or she ate. It's not a lot. Okay? Not a lot of energy. It's why we eat so much. Biomagnification. When we just said the amount of energy as you go up levels decreases, all right, the concentration of pollutants increases. And pollutants can be anything, okay? Because when we eat stuff, do we only get the good out of it? No. And so that non-good stuff, pollutants, are passed on. When you eat that hamburger, do you get some pollutants in there? Yes. It's natural. It's what you get. Does it affect us? Sometimes, sometimes not. All right? I've all my life, my parents have hunted, deer hunt, I deer hunt. That's all we've eaten. We eat deer. Right? It's the leanest form of meat you can eat. I eat deer hamburger, deer steak, deer sausage, deer roast. Everything we eat's made out of deer. Well, when we run out of that and we have to go to the store and buy hamburger from the store, it makes me sick. Why would it make me sick? It's got all that extra stuff in there that I'm not used to, my body's not used to, because it's added stuff. It's a different organism. Okay? Hamburger made from beef, hamburger made from deer are two different things. Do they taste similar? Yeah. Can we use them for the same thing? Yeah. But do they have different stuff in them? Yeah, because of where they lived, what they ate, all these different things. So that pollution increases as you go up. All right. A couple other pyramids. Talked about this one a little bit. Biomass. What's the word mass mean? How much stuff is there? Bio-life. How much life is there? At that bottom level, those producers, a lot more life than if you go up to the third, fourth level. Right? How many fishermen are in this boat? One. He's big. He might be big. Might be me. Big guy. But what has more mass? That fisherman or all those producers? All those producers. Every blade of grass. You pull them all up out of that whatever section he's fishing in, and you take the mass of them, it's going to have more mass than that one guy. All right, so as you go up, biomass decreases. Okay. Pyramid of numbers, same thing. It's similar. How many total organisms are here versus this one big cat up here? Is there more on the bottom? Yeah, there's more organisms, more producers than there are tertiary consumers. As you go up, number of organisms decreases. Okay. We already said that could be because of competition. How many of those big cats are going to live in the same area? Not many, because they're competing for the same food. All right. Make sense? Have a couple different ones we use. Mean a little bit different.